Okay, here we go. And oh, there's that. Also, for this, guys, here we go. For those playing the home game, a couple new things there. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Brews and Builds, episode 157, I think. I am one of your fellow hosts, BigTuck. And as you can see, and if you follow our channel, Mr. Combo is currently still in Italy celebrating his recent nuptials. And we know our schedule is a little silly right now, but we appreciate everyone sticking with it. So, instead today I'm here with a great guest host who could be told at one point has in fact communed with lava. We have TryingCasuallyEDH. Woo! How
What's
we
up,
doing over
everybody?
there?
Welcome to TryingCasuallyEDH, trying to give you that local game store feel you've come to know and love. If you are checking us out, basically we are doing a little bit something different. So we were going to stream this on Twitch and through OBS, but some computer issues. So I am streaming this, and I am going to send this over. Basically, when I get done.
And it all worked out. I mean, it's all kind of like this, like, I don't about the Twitch. We've talked about this. I think every time that you and I have interacted, we've had questions or discussions around like, oh, like your Twitch, like I don't understand how this works. You're like, well, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really get it either, right? So like, I can't say that I know much about this, but like, I'm guessing I'm not at the point where we're like losing out on piles of revenue stream on this. So I don't know. I think it's kind of exciting, right?
I mean, we haven't broke the bank yet. I mean, we're not rich. We still work.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is cool. The potential to make money.
Yes, right, exactly. Oh, I was like, how am I not following? I was like, I'm trying to get my chat in here. Now, here's my question to you. Oh, Dave the Noob is already in chat.
Yeah, Dave the Noob. Shout out to Dave the Noob. Love that guy.
The best. Oh, he's the best. So, do you guys get to do anything with your? I'm sorry. Well, let's back up first. So, first off, for everyone out there, where can people find you out on the interwebs? Like, what's your? I know you stream a ton.
Yeah,
like,
you can currently find us here.
Okay, perfect.
If you found us on our Twitch, and we were basically at Trying Casually EDH or at Trying Casual EDH, pretty much everywhere. I will post our link tree in the chat here.
Oh yes, of course. And I will also. We have one too that I think is recently updated. If you guys want to follow us out here, but so like, how did you get? We always kind of ask, especially for first people on our more long format. Like, how did you first get into Magic? Like, have you been playing for a while? What got you into EDH? Like, what's your kind of story on? What's your story on that?
Okay, so boom. I've actually been playing since M19.
Okay, so relatively
recently.
new. Yeah,
fairly recently in the grand scheme of things. But like any like good thing, I suppose, you go in balls deep almost immediately.
Yep.
So basically, what happened is I played standard for a year. I wanted to like know the rules, kind of like, you know what I mean, before you just walk into like the tournament of tournaments kind of thing.
Yes.
So basically, that was my start. I started with my wife. Shout out to Homebrew Deck Tech in the chat. Yo. But yeah, I started with my wife. So basically, she would help me go to pre-releases, and we'd share cards. And like, I built her a vampire deck, and then I built like a green deck. So her colors were black and like red, and mine were like green and blue. So that was kind of like our dynamic. It was really fun. So then my buddy Frosty introduced me to Commander. He introduced me. He was like, "Hey, come over to a game night. We're gonna have some beers. We're gonna have some food, and we're gonna play some Magic." And I was like, "Oh, you're gonna play Standard?" And we're gonna play this different format called Commander. He hooked me up with it Muldrotha at the time.
Ooh, great Commander.
Yeah. So basically. We played a hectic game of Commander where I got Elephant Grass on with Muldrotha.
Dude, that's like the best. No, like that's the most hidden tech in
Yeah.
Multiverse builds of all time.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It 100% is. And
Yeah.
shout out to Frosty, PG Frosty, who like showed me that thing. 100% like so it ended up being Elephant Grass, Spore Frog, and then Muldrotha.
Oh, good.
And I
Oh,
had the
God.
game locked.
Yep.
I had a
Yeah.
Golda on the field, like it was nuts.
Yeah.
And I won my first game of Commander, and like that was literally it. Like
That's awesome. Yeah,
it was money ever since.
I kind of was in the same boat on my end too, where like I was living in China. I played when I was younger. Like I played like Plane Shift, Invasion, all that stuff, right? Like I remember when M10 or no, 7th edition came out. It was like, but I was living in China and like I got back into playing like kind of modern-ish style, right? Like it was just kind of like I didn't take it too seriously because I was just like, whatever. Like I played this when I was a kid. And then at the same time, Scooty Shuffles, like one of my best friends, he got really into it he got really into Commander like with his friends. So when I came back across, he got me into it, and then here we are. But I think you like and you know, obviously we'll go into a little bit more about your deck here in a second, but like one thing I've noticed is like I think you also build decks similar to me. Like it seems a lot of like big creatures, big fighting, like that sort of thing, right?
Yeah. I want to see crazy shit happen regardless of whether it's mine.
Exactly. So, well, we're so excited to have you on here.
I should probably also ask if cursing is okay.
Oh yeah, let her rip. So we like we used to censor back when we had a producer. We used to censor it, and like now that we don't, we're just like, you know, whatever. It's inconsequential. So let her rip. And I'm really so for those who are going to be listening to this in the coming weeks, we are in fact bringing back the voices against pretty much everyone's will when they come and join us. So get ready for that. But Brews and Builds is our deck tech series. Since we conquered the path to 32, the 12 themes of EDH decks, and season 3 brought in a lot of new flavor. And now for season 4, we have kind of switched things up, especially with guests. Me and Mr. Combo are continuing to travel quite a bit. And our schedules just are, you know, matched up just near the end of the year. So one thing that we brought in to bring in for guests and for our patrons is the CMC game. So this will comprise of taking one of our patrons' decks, both hosts, or I guess one of our guests in this thing. Sorry, this is from a script. Both hosts picking one favorite card out of each CMC to discuss. And then, like in the traditional Brews and Builds, we will each cut 3 cards, but then have to add a card with CMC less than the cut card, equal CMC, and then finally a greater CMC. So today we got 0 all the way through 8s without a 7, but today we are talking about Kalamax Burn version 3.0? Version 3?
Yep, 100%. Version 1 was the precon.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, one of the best precons that's been printed that no one talks about, right?
Yeah.
So
I didn't even know that Deflecting Swat was in it.
Oh, right. I know, right? And like there was some times where you could buy this for like $20. You're like, you just get you get a deck with a free Deflecting Swat. But for those who don't know, Kalamax the Stormsire is a colorless and teamer that is green, blue, and red for 4/4 legendary creature elemental dinosaur that is a mythic. That's $3, which is kind of crazy for a front face commander that's not Edgar Markov. But he has a few abilities on him. So the first is when you cast your first instant spell each turn, if Kalamax's Stormsire is tapped, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. And then whenever you copy an instant spell, put a 1/1 counter on Kalamax. Big thing there for those who may have not played this before, which is like, I think that's probably becoming increasingly rare. I think Kalamax is kind of one of the more popular sort of spell slinger.
I saw him a lot when he first came out, but I almost never seen him now.
Really? Interesting. Yeah. I guess it's like what? That was from 2010? No, sorry, 2020?
16? No. I'm terrible. Hold on.
It's all good. It's a few years. Who knows? They create so much, and I'm not wearing my glasses. Boom, it was 20? Okay. Nice. So so just to demonstrate how this goes, there is some text on here to win. And this one, I'll take this one for you, Trying Casual, just to show you, you know, that it's very difficult and I'm also very bad at it. So this is Vornclicks, which is supposed to be a coffee shop barista that is short on time. That is the only hint that we got from our patrons. So let's try this thing. Malacax's mood changes with like the weather and vice versa. And I don't have any time anymore. Just tell me if you want to vent to your grande. So there you go.
Damn. So
Yeah.
Vorinclex is like a snap poet, bro. He's like
Yeah.
angry. Oh, I like
Yes.
that.
Yeah, so we got a whole bunch of other ones ready to go too. I thought my monitors died, so I was like, but it's back. So people, like I said, everyone's kind of got their own take on Vorinclex, right? How did you go about building the stack? What did you kind of do to make this a little bit more unique or more suited to your play style? That's like what was your intention when you were building this?
Okay, so I initially wanted to okay, so I should take a step back. I should go to my other play group. So on my channel, I was borrowing my buddies' decks, my IRL play group's decks, and playing them on my stream.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I would basically like, I am playing my buddy's deck. This is what it does, and I was playing Torbjorn of the Red Fell.
Yes, very strong.
Very strong. Very burny. The way his deck is made, it was like a bunch of burn spells. So I was like, I want to make this, but like better.
Right. Not have to be forced with mono red.
Yeah, teamer.
Yeah. Yes. Okay,
like,
gotcha.
I think I thoroughly like, if I am an IRL like wedge or shard, I don't know what teamer is. I believe I would be teamer.
I think it's a wedge because it was in card. I think it was. I don't know. Who knows anymore, right? And like now they're guilds through whatever. But this is so. Yeah. What's brought? Like, is it just the addition of like? Do you think it's like the style of play that teamer has? Is it the combination of colors that lets you like get to kind of pick and choose some of the ones you like the most? Like, what do you think it is about that color in particular?
Simic. So my favorite color is probably green, and my next.
Of course, it is.
Blue.
So effectively the two best colors, the two best colors in Commander.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most of my decks are green. I want to play giant stompy things. But this deck,
and you also want to draw cards. You also want to counter. Yeah. You also want to counter spells. You just want to do everything.
Kind of do that. This deck doesn't really have stompy creatures.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah. So like I was trying to do something different than I've never done before, but B with colors that I absolutely love.
Got it. Okay. Cool. And you said you started with the precon, right? Mm-hmm. And how many cards did you, if you were just to guess, right? Because like a lot of people, they get a precon and sometimes they'll like keep it together, maybe adjust the land base a little bit. Some of them will just completely gut it and kind of rebuild it up from the ground up. Like, do you feel like you've cut a quarter? I mean, obviously lands we don't need to get into
probably 30 cards now.
Wow. Okay. Got it.
Yeah,
really making some changes to it.
It's probably like a full rework.
Got it. Okay, yeah. And I think I think a lot of that's on the deck too, right? And one thing we always go through is we always go and talk about like a few things around it, right? So for starters, the if you want to build this one, it's around $383, right? So probably pretty normal considering you have like some higher end cards in here, right?
The 1,000-Year Storm says it's not listed for some reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah, weird. The Etch Double Master that I have is not listed. It says $3.04, so add $4 to that.
Oh, okay, got it. And then if we look through here, you have 2 Planeswalkers, 13 creatures, 9 sorceries, 26 instants, which is, I mean, what you want, like a quarter of the deck at least, right? This is more like a third. 10 artifacts, one of which is an equipment, 6 enchantments, 36 lands across the board there. Mm-hmm. And something we started doing on the group is we started looking into and this is something we've been doing on our channel that's actually kind of helped us a lot when we're looking through like consistencies in decks and that sort of thing, is we always go and look at your percentage of mana symbols versus the percentage of mana production you have, right? So you have 40% blue to 39, 43 red to 42, and then 26 green to 42 of the producers, right? So it's pretty close across the board, right? Have you gone through and messed like with the lands? Like, do you feel like this has ever been? You ever feel like you've gotten stuck on a color, or do you feel like it's always been kind of consistent in these with the draws and everything?
Double red. I was getting stuck on double red.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like Dualcaster Mage, being
Mm-hmm.
able to flash that out. I also
Yeah.
run Niv Mizzet Perun, so I
Yep.
needed to run heavier red, but I also needed heavier greens because I needed to know that I had the ramp spells or like
Right.
Azorius Predation, which has triple green.
Right. And then it looks like the average mana of your main board, the average mana cost of your deck is 1.78 with lands, which is kind of, in my opinion, a foolish statistic. And then 2.75 without lands, right? So do you feel like that feels pretty consistent with your deck? Do you feel like that feels pretty consistent with like the play style that you want it to, or do you feel like it plays slower than that, faster than that? What do you think?
So it's basically all in the draw. This deck
Okay,
can be very fast, but it also can be very durable. It just all
sure,
depends on like what kind of draw. Because like I don't really run tutors, or
right.
like stuff like that. I'm trying to actually play a randomized game almost.
Mm-hmm.
If that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Like you'd rather have something like see the cards that come off the top and that sort of thing than
Yeah,
try to
yeah.
build like.
I'm trying to play with the cards given as opposed to craft the deck to play the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hell yeah. Well, like I said, we have 0 sort of through 8, -7. So let's get into it. But before we do, for the listeners out there, we couldn't do it without you guys. So if you're able to, patreon.com/CMD Tower, there's rewards for all benefits, which could be anything from getting your deck on this episode, streaming with us when we do our hashtag SCR, hashtag get handed, every other Monday, and we always get merch and that sort of thing. But obviously, if it's financially restrictive to you, please don't put yourself into a situation where that get uncomfortable for you. But yeah, that's how we afford new equipment, which it sounds like a new computer might be on order if I've got to try to keep streaming this. But that again is over at patreon.com/CMD Tower. So let's hop right into it. And we do have a mana value 0 card in here. There's just one. Technically, yes. Which I was really surprised. Okay, let's get into it. Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Deflecting SWAT.
Yep.
Okay, wait. You gotta do it. You gotta say it with me. You gotta get.
My
you gotta
bad,
get in that with me.
bad.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Ready? Let's do it again. 3, 2, 1. Deflecting SWAT. Woo! Okay.
Woo!
Two color red. It's an instant. It's a rare, and it's $54.99. Boom. Yeah. So now, because I beat you to the punch on that, you need to read the text of the card, and there's a little bit of flavored text to get into here as well. So
okay, so I have to do the flavor text in the Kalamax voice. Okay,
so when we match, it's always a race to see who can read the outside of the card fastest, because then the other person has to do the inside of the card.
Okay, that's cool. It is an instant, and it says if you would control your commander, you may cast the spell without paying its mana cost. So that's why it is technically free.
Yes.
Most of the time, Kalamax will be on the board when it is used, because it's used to take out or protect Kalamax.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the second paragraph says you may choose new targets for the target spell or ability. So basically like a Path to Exile or like a removal spell.
Counter spell.
Like yeah, absolutely.
It's really strong.
And then
so the flavor text.
Yeah, I think this is. I think I'm going.
Okay. Well, you kind of. Wait. No. I got the name for you. We got the accent for you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. It's Seton, Centaur Druid, but he sounds like Bruce Wayne.
Oh.
Not Batman, Bruce Wayne.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that's it. Like, and you can take that to however you want, right?
No, yeah, you're good. Hold on, I gotta get Hello, my name is Bruce Wayne. All right.
That's on. Yeah. Okay. I like it. I like where this is going so far.
Archmage attacks with little or more annoyance to Kalamax.
Nailed it. Yeah. You channeled the Wayne.
Yeah, I tried to be suave. I had to be cooler than me.
Right. Like a lot of these ones, I'm like, I don't know what these people sound like.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I sound like.
Because the Batman voice is this.
Well, we have like, I know we have a Batman. We have at least one Batman. I think we have a hungover Batman as well, or something like that. So sometimes these people get kind of goofy with it. But anyway, so we all know this card's amazing, right? Sees play across the entirety of the format, CEDH, everything like that.
Hypothetically, should be put in almost every red deck.
Right, yeah. So we call it like we there's staples and then there's like standards, right? So
Yeah.
this to me is like a red standard, if not a red staple, especially if you care if your deck's built top down at all. So
Yeah.
we don't need to go into why this card is good, but like what's been the biggest like blowout that you've seen this card do? Like what's been the biggest like the top end of what you've seen it do in this deck or just in general?
Okay, so I forget the spell, but it was a board wipe that gained life equal to how many creatures were killed, and then you got
Oh,
something back from the creatures. So I took control of the spell, so I would gain the life and get the
oh,
the thing.
nice.
Yeah,
And you gained a pile load, and then the other
yeah,
person didn't
yeah,
get it.
one
Hell
hundred
yeah,
percent.
yeah, great card. Do you if you didn't own a copy of this? So we'll get
It would
into.
not be in the deck.
Like I couldn't see myself buying this. It's I think it's good, but it's not like
Yep.
there's 50. You could buy 10 or I guess 11 $5 cards that I think would be better than just
Yeah,
one,
I
right?
feel like I would change a grip of cards as opposed to that one card.
Yeah, totally agree there. Well, hey, so that's the zero quote unquote. And now we do have 8 options in mana value 1. So why don't you
Okay,
go? Why don't
so
you go
quick
ahead?
question. We're trying to
Yes.
pick the best one or the one we want to change?
Right now this is in this front end. These are just we're just the one that you like, the one you want to talk about, right?
Ooh, okay. Okay.
Traditionally, we try not to pick the ones that we're going to cut later because
Yep.
we'll already go into that, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And then what another thing we always try to do is you try to like give some hints and some clues, right, to see if we match up on our choices.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm ready when you are.
No, yeah. So this is your this is your pick right now. So
Okay.
whichever one you want to talk about.
Yeah, I'm going to go Springleaf Drum.
Oh, nice. Yeah, very solid pick.
Absolutely, probably one of my favorite cards. One of my new favorite cards. My new favorite card in the deck specifically.
Right.
Yeah. So obviously, This is where you do the things.
So now that we didn't match, this is all you. This is
Okay.
You read the card top to bottom, and there is flavor text. I already have the next one lined up for you.
Alrighty, 100%. So it is Springleaf Drum. It costs 1 generic mana, but you don't need generic mana to cast it. It is an artifact, so you can tap it, but you also need to tap an untapped creature you control, and then add 1 mana of any color. So for this, specifically, well, hold on, I got to do the flavor text.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So this is Fraley's, who is Elizabeth Swan from Pirate of the Caribbean. So Keira Knightley from Pirates of the Caribbean Saga, or whatever they call it.
Okay. Okay. So the music is in the drum. I simply coax it out to be heard.
Excellent. Nailed it. I would always throw with her. I always throw in a parlay or two or something along those lines. But yes.
Yeah. Parlay.
Exactly. So
yeah.
So why'd you put it in the deck?
Okay, so specifically, it is in there to tap Kalamax to have him on everybody else's turn, available to cast and copy an instant spell.
Right. Yeah, agreed there, 100%. It's also $3, which is kind of surprising for like 100%. What a lot of people would think would be a bulk uncommon. And I like it in the deck because I think you do have a handful. Obviously, using it with Kalamax is going to be like that's like best case scenario, right? Like you want efficient ways to tap him down. Some people play like crew mechanic, and those cards are kind of stinky in this deck for by and large. Mm-hmm. So
without
I think
getting him killed in an attack.
Correct, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that's nice is you do have a handful of other creatures that a lot of times themselves are effectively like mana dorks of some varietal, or they enter the battlefield with an effect. And Kalamax is a big target, right? Kalamax will get scooped up. And I think just being able to have another form of a mana rock that can play with your other creatures and Kalamax is really, really strong.
Yep, works really well with Rixus, the Writhing Storm, the snakes that he makes. I can just tap him.
And we'll be talking about him perhaps a little bit later. So for my pick in the ones, I went with Crash Through. So
Ooh,
I
that's
think
a
this
good one.
card is really, really interesting. I think this is a really like got you kind of card that people may not see coming. So Crash Through is a single red mana for a sorcery. Creatures you control gain trample till end of turn and then draw a card. There is some flavor text on it, and I got Jessica, who sounds like Gingy, the gingerbread man from Shrek. So I'm so bad at these. So all mine kind of
Not
sound the
the
same.
buttons.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to think. It's like, oh no, not my gumdrop buttons, Uni. Until I knew you'd come back. Oh wait, wait. Am I reading that right?
Yep. That's the secret layer version.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So yeah, there you go. I think this card is a really, really good pick. I think this is a card that you're really gonna surprise people with, right? Um, and even if it doesn't like just win you the game straight out, I love the fact it replaces itself as well, right? Like,
100%. And with Kalamax, you're actually getting 2 draws, so it's
well,
2 cards
so
for 1.
on this one you wouldn't because it's not an instant. This one is a sorcery.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Yeah,
But so I still think it's worth it though, right? Because like you still need to have sorcery spells that are utility, right? And I think if this
yeah.
one was, I think if this one was just trample, I'd be like not as hot on it. But the fact it replaces itself too and will draw you into maybe like a protection spell when you're getting ready to swing or some other like utility draw. That's why I think it's a really, really good pick for the deck.
Boom. Are we going
Did I-
to 2?
Okay. Oh, I was like, wait, did I lose you? Okay, so
Nope.
let's go on. Let's go on to 2. This is my pick, and I think this is a card you actually because we did get to see this on stream, which I thought was really cool. I love talking about that because I actually got to see this deck firsthand, and I think this one's a really, really smart card. Kalamax, especially burn decks, they really suffer against life gain, damage prevention, that sort of stuff. And not only does this card kind of cut that off at the knees, it also does like a fair chunk of damage, especially if you can get it double. And that one for me is Skullcrack. Great card. Sees a lot of play in like modern, at least used to. Colorless in a red for an instant. It's an uncommon for about $2.30, which is also kind of crazy. But there's a lot of stuff going on here, right? Players can't gain life this turn. Damage can't be prevented this turn. And then finally, Skullcrack deals 3 damage to target player. There's some flavor text on here. This is another one I'm really bad at, so just buckle in. And that's Tomio, who is the Sorcerer Supreme, Tilda Swinton
Ooh.
varietal of it. So the law mage's argument was clever and well reasoned, but Blunk's response proved irrefutable. There you go.
That was good. I like that.
Thanks. Yeah, we've had some of these. We've had a little bit more experience with others. So, great card, and I think comparative to like a lightning strike or even like a lightning bolt, I think this card does a lot more in the deck, right? Like cutting people off from life gains, like you were just talking about, like big blowout, a lot of like board wipes, a lot of white decks, and Orzhov really deal a lot with that life gain mechanic, and sometimes it's just hard to chase that with Kalamax and with your burn spells.
Yeah.
Have you had like any real like big blowout moments with this, or has this just been like kind of more like utility card for you?
So this is specifically more a utility card, and
Okay.
with a bunch of like the mana reducers, it's really good for one mana.
Yes, right.
It's also
And
good to help somebody else get like an Alpha Strike.
Oh yeah. And like I said, doubling up for 6 damage for 1 red, like that's a pretty good output for it. So great pick for the deck. Like I think it was a really interesting one. What's the one that you wanted to talk about?
Ooh, so I have actually 2.
Okay, all right. Now before you go with that choice, if they both have flavor text, you will have to do 2 accents.
One of them has flavor text.
Okay, nailed it. All right, so go right ahead.
Okay, so the first one I wanted to actually talk about is Comet Storm.
Oh
Not
god, yeah.
technically 2. You'll never ever cast it for 2, but it is technically 2.
Sure, yeah.
Comet Storm is basically X into red. It has multi-kicker. You can make one any number of times, and then as you cast the spell. So then you get to choose each new opponent each time you multi-kicked it.
I like how you also specifically said opponent and ignored the first line of that text.
Yeah. Choose target creature or player, and then
AKA target player.
target player, and then choose another target creature or player for each time Comet Storm was kicked. Comet Storm deals X damage to each of them. This is my win con.
Yeah. It's super good. Not a lot to say on this end. The only question I have for you is what do you say is the minimum, like, how much untapped mana do you have to have, or access to mana do you need or want to have before you would even consider casting this?
Like 11.
11? Okay.
Yeah, because I want to put at least 8 into it, have the 2 red, and then have 1 to kick it.
One other target, yeah.
Yeah, because you got to think that would be 16 copied twice.
Right. And that's a ton of damage, especially to knock out someone. And then if you've like been blasting into one person with Kalamax, that might be enough just to like kill the entire board in one go, especially in the late game when you have it. Great card. Kind of have to have it in Kalamax, I think. Right? It's definitely a staple for the deck build.
Yeah. And then the other one was actually okay. I gotta get ready for a voice too. So you might want to pull that one too.
I have it ready. As soon as we're done with one, I just immediately fire it for the next.
Train of Thought, 1 in a blue. It is a sorcery. It has Replicate for 1 in a blue. When you cast this spell, copy it for each time you've paid its Replicate cost. Draw a card. So with Kalamax, you copy the Replicates.
Right. And it kind of gets a way to get around that, like the sorcery speed of it, right?
Well, yeah, but so you're not copying it with Kalamax specifically. There's other copy things in there like Thousand Year Storm.
Yeah.
So you're copying it with other things, but it's another way to fill your hand.
Exactly, and it copies itself, so that's going to trigger. That should trigger. No, does it not? Because it's a sorcery.
It doesn't because it's a sorcery. The copies do. So you'll get 1/1 counters, but not the copy.
Right. Okay. And there is, like you said, unfortunately, there is a little bit of flavor text on here.
There is. This one's funny.
So this is Gideon, who sounds like a generic bad guy from the Wolfenstein series.
Oh no! Okay.
Which is the most PC way that we are describing what this voice would sound
bad
like.
Guy.
Yeah, right. Like quote, if you understand that, right? Just a generic bad guy.
100%. I got this. But Zen? Oh, what? Which would lead to exactly. That one actually worked really well.
Yeah, that was perfect, right? It's I like it. I think it's a really interesting card. I think getting like those copies stacked up on each other, it's like it's probably like I think this is a card that if someone like wanted to streamline your deck, they'd be like, okay, there's probably one that's like generically better, but I think that's not the point, right? It's a fun card. This is a deck this is gonna work in, so why not like give it a shot, right? And you have your mana, you refill your hand. Off to the races.
100%. It takes 4 mana to get 2 cards, but if you can copy it, you get 4 cards for 2 mana.
Yep, exactly. So I like it. I think it's a really interesting, fun one in here, and a good one to pick. So let's move on to 3. We have 12 here to potentially choose from, and I'm going to go with one that you got me with really well. That sucked and made me feel really bad about myself. Because I like this idea of everything in here is a damage spell, right?
Yeah.
And you don't run a ton of counter magic in here, which I like. I'm of the mind where I kind of start pulling away from that a little bit. But I like this one because it's efficient, and also when you double it, you're dealing double the damage too. And that card is Ionize. So a colorless, a blue and a red for an instant. It's a rare for about 79 cents. Counter target spell. Ionize deals 2 damage to that spell's controller. There is some flavor text here, and this one is Samila Mametian Poet, who sings in a falsetto. So, I'm about to throw my voice out here, so I'm pretty excited about that. Counter magic is a simple process of breaking matter into its elementary particles.
So there
you go. Thank you very much. It's a real voice of the devil. Yeah. So like I said, I like it as a counter spell. I like that you can double up the damage for it. Again, four damage for 3 mana in and of itself is pretty efficient. And then also having it's very easy to cast, right? Like you said about the mana, like having access to the blue, the green, and the red in here.
Technically, if the spell actually gets countered, you only get 1 set of damage.
Because the copy doesn't.
The other spell would fizzle.
That stinks. Yep. And you can't wriggle around with it where it's like you can't counter itself because then you'll just deal what 2 to your you'll deal 4 damage to yourself,
then,
right?
Yeah.
But still, like you got me.
It is still
this.
2 damage with a counter spell.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So you still got your burn there. Super fun card. Really enjoyed seeing it there. What's your pick in the 3 bucket?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me pull it up. Okay, boom, I got it. I'm gonna say Midnight Clock.
Oh, it's so good.
Yep.
So it's so good.
Yep. So Midnight Clock, it's 2 and a blue. It is an artifact. You can tap it to add blue, and then so 2 and a blue. You can put an hour counter on the Midnight Clock, and then at the beginning of each upkeep, you're going to put an hour counter on the Midnight Clock, and then on the 12th hour, you're going to shuffle your hand, your graveyard, and your library, and then get 7 new cards, and then you exile it.
Right. I think the best thing that people always forget about this is it's on every upkeep, right?
Yep.
So in reality, you have this like threat on the board. Exactly. 3rd time around, and everyone's like, you could get something, or you could just get totally host off it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely
amazing.
Have you ever gotten it to wheel all the way around and like shuffle it out, or do people get rid of it before it gets there?
Okay, so it depends on the table. So a lot of times it goes under the radar, like you said. Like it is a really underrated card. They're like, oh, he's just going to wheel his cards. But if I can empty my hand, I'm just refilling it.
Right. Exactly. And especially when you're playing these lower level, faster cards, right? Yep. Like you're going to run out of cards. You can run out of cards kind of quick here, right?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
And knowing that you have this new grip coming in, as well as like it still gives you mana too, right? Like, and the other thing is, it doesn't even come into play tapped, right? Nope.
You can use it the turn it comes in. Yeah, like you said, it works for a bunch of reasons.
Right. Pretty much across the board. So great pick in here. It's always going to get somebody. I'm a huge fan of this card too. So love to see it in here.
And it's not a salty card. You know what I mean? No one's going to get mad at a Midnight Clock.
Right. Yeah. You're not running Time Twister or something like that. Right. And being like, now I'm going to show off here. So before we get into 4, if you guys are interested in supporting the channel, we do have an Etsy store, etsy.com/shop/CMD Tower. We have everything in there from our tokens to our playmats, including the new foily ones, which are really nice. And it's starting to be sweater season. So we do offer our Jund sweater cards. Our actual Jund physical sweaters, which are very comfortable. Those ones are in our limited print run. We only have a handful of ones from last year. So again,
how much are those?
What are those? $50, I think. So they're pretty slick. But so that'll be those will be great for, they're $50 with free shipping. So, they look pretty snazzy. They're very festive. So, if the patron isn't your thing, but you still want to support the channel, that's another way to do it. So we appreciate everyone out there.
Sweatshirts.
They're pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. They're very comfortable.
Who doesn't need a sweatshirt?
It's about to be that time, right? It's people. So in North Carolina, like being from the Midwest, I don't get cold very easily. And now like it's getting that point where it's like 60-ish in the morning. And there'll be people out here with their Michael Kors puffy jackets, with their Ugg boots and their sweaters, walking their dogs and stuff. And it's just like way too early for any of that stuff. I'm comfortable with just wearing pants and like maybe a t-shirt. So
see, I'm still in shorts and I'll put a hoodie.
I love it. Yeah, exactly. Where are you located? What part of the country are you
I'm South Carolina.
Oh, that's right. Of course.
Yeah. Originally from Massachusetts, though. Similar situation.
Oh yeah. And now you're like, oh, this is all a joke. Are you planning? Are you planning on going to the Magic 30 in Charlotte next year in February?
Yeah, I do want to. 100%.
Excellent.
I do want to.
There's gonna be a big group of people from Kansas City coming up for that too. So,
Heck
anyways, back to it. We're going to the mana value 4. We're going to mana value 4. There's 8 options here. We might have some crossover here. I think this is your pick.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go Rajmi Eternity's Crafter.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That efficiency.
By far the one of the cheapest cards in the deck.
Yeah,
but
right.
But super fun. So Rajmi, Eternity Crafter, 2 in Simic or green and blue. She's a legendary creature, elf druid, so you can make her as your commander, which is pretty cool. So whenever you cast your first spell each turn, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card with converted mana cost less than the spells, you can cast it without paying its mana cost. If you don't, you basically just reveal it and put it in your hand, which is pretty good. So either way, you're getting a card back in your hand or extra value by casting it.
Absolutely. And like I said, you have like a pretty big range of spells, right? Like 8 in the 4, 4 in the 5, 3 in the 6, and so on and so forth. And with so many 2-drops in the deck, I think it's pretty likely that you're going to be able to get that cast off it.
100%.
And like you said, I think this deck, you kind of, outside of like pumping up Kalamax, you're really kind of playing on other people's turns anyway, right? So just getting that incremental card draw just for playing the game as you want, I think makes her really strong. So the one I wanted to talk about, which I think is going to play into one of the cards, I think the next 2 cards that I'm talking about are kind of a pair. And this one in the 4-drop is Leyline of Combustion. So 2 colorless, 2 red for an enchantment. It's a Leyline, obviously. So if it's in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. And then whenever you and or at least one permanent you control becomes a target of a spell or an ability opponents controls, Leyline of Combustion deals 2 damage to that player. So it's not hexproof. It's not Shroud, right? And nope. I think that's where this gets interesting, because you do have some very strong creatures in the deck outside of Kalamax. You have some very strong enchantments. And I think getting this card out early, even though it's only 2 damage, it could be 2 damage 6 times to one player, right? It could be 2 damage. It could be 2 damage to twice to each other player on the board, right? Especially knowing that there's just a lot of targets in the deck already. So have you ever had the magic Christmas land of having this in your opening and being able to have that awesome turn 0 pop off?
I don't believe I've had it in my opening hand yet, but I've had it drawn on turn 2.
Okay, gotcha.
So pretty close.
Right. But you haven't been able to just be like, ha-ha, plop.
No. But it does, like, it does protect you more than you'd realize, because, like, it protects you from getting, like, milled if somebody has...
Yes.
Because, like, you're getting 2 damage every single time.
Right. Every time you're getting targeted with Phoenix or anything like that.
Yeah. Any spell or ability. If they try to path Kalamax, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah. It's that easy. You just got to.
And then I might deflecting swat your spell anyways.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And you're gonna you just have to suffer through that anyway. So I think it's cool. I think it's really cool in introduction. This is a card that I think should probably be played more, right? Especially in more casuals tables. So
again, like I said, cents. You should jam that in any deck that, like, you're being a target of spells or abilities. Really,
I feel like this would be a really good card in like a commander cube too, right? Because people there are you're trying to find all the removal when you're drawing your cards out, right? And just having something that's baked in, especially with a lower life total, like if you start with 30 or 25 or whatever, I think that's really, really going to stack up.
And it's only 4 CMC. It's not too incredibly high.
Right. Yeah. Like, it's very efficient with that too. And if you're paying 4 mana and it's dealing 20 points of damage over the course of the game, I mean, that's only 10 activations of it. I think that's, again, for your burn style of play, that's a really, really strong rate.
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's move on to 5. We have 4 options here. I'm going to go first. So this is one of your planeswalkers. And it's a very good companion piece, because 2 damage is like, okay, not that much. But with this card out, it's 3 damage. So now they're lightning bolting themselves every single time they're trying to do something.
Yes.
And that is Jaya Venerated Fire Mage. So 4 colorless and a red for a legendary planeswalker Jaya. She costs 5. She comes in with 5 loyalty, and it's about a quarter one of those uncommon planeswalkers. So the I'm gonna start with the -2 because -2 is she deals 2 damage to any target, right? Which I think is nice, but you're only gonna be able to get 2 activations off her in the best case scenario, right? So you can pick off a mana dork, put someone down into like Kalamax, a big blowout Kalamax range, that sort of thing. More importantly, though, if another red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals that much damage +1 to that permanent or player instead. And so you're already making Kalamax a 5/4 effectively, right? In the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
If you buff him at all, which is easy to do with counters or anything, like you're pretty much just getting a free counter for nothing, right? On top of the fact that your Comet Storm now becomes a little bit more efficient, right? Your Ley Land Combustion becomes more efficient. Your Skull Cracks, all of your really red.
Each copy too.
Yes, right, exactly. So I think that's cool. Like I said, the -2 for 2 damage is kind of fine-ish. I wish that I know this is just how they do it. I just wish it said if a red source as opposed to another one, because now she's like lightning bolting things instead, but that's probably too broken or something. I don't know. I'm not an R&D.
Yeah, I don't think it would be too broken though.
Right? Like why make it so much more complicated? But anyways, so that was my pick. What's your pick in the 5-drop area?
I'm gonna go Pyromancer's Goggles.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So obviously Pyromancer's Goggles, 5 generic mana. It is a legendary artifact. You tap it to add red, and then when that mana is spent to cast a red instant or sorcery spell, you can copy that spell and you can choose new targets for the spell or ability. Now it says red instant or sorcery, but if it's like a hybrid spell, or
sure,
if it just has the color in it, it still copies.
Right, Ionize now. You can do the copy on Ionize that fizzles.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
but it still looks scary. It's still a message.
Yes, exactly. And now especially,
and then I have flavor text.
Yes, and this one we do actually have a Chandra in here. And evidently, according to the people that chose this, Chandra sounds like Optimus Prime for whatever reason.
No, okay. Autobots roll out.
Yeah, exactly. Get
right.
Yeah.
I hope to meet Jira Ballard someday. I think we'd get along.
Slam dunk. Perfect. So I know the red part of this, I think I could see some people maybe thinking that is maybe too narrow for 3 colors, right? But like, what do you think? Like, do you think like the juice is worth the squeeze in that regard?
Hold on. I'm actually looking at my sorceries and instants. I have 16 possibilities to hit it.
Oh wow! And a lot of those, like you said, this makes winning more with something like Comet Storm, right?
Yep, 100%.
Way easier there. Even stuff like drawing cards with Thrill of Possibility, your Chaos Warps of the world, that sort of thing. I think that all makes it way better. Now,
100%.
Do you think this card? So I think we talked about how we could make this card a little broader, right? But I think this might make it too good. So what if it costs 6 instead? It tapped for a colorless, and it was any instant or sorcery, regardless of.
So if I'm paying 6, I want it to tap for any color.
Any color? Okay, so you don't think that's too busted?
No. So if you're paying an extra mana, I need to do something extra.
Okay, right. Okay. All right, I can respect that. This is, like I said, like you were just saying, a lot of good targets here. Most of the ones that you're going to be winning and dealing damage with and controlling the board are all in that. All really good to be copied there. Have you had any like big blowouts with this one?
This one gets pretty nuts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I've copied this with Comet Storm.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I've copied this with Comet Storm, copying it also with Kalamax.
Oh god. And then the game has just come to a close.
The game ended. Yeah.
the game has ended.
It's called Judgment Day.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, that's going to wrap up for the 5. And we talked a little bit earlier about this. We do have a great sponsor through abyssproxyshop.com. We are really believers here on the channel of Magic is a very expensive game. So if you own a copy of a card, like a Deflecting Swat is a great example of that, right? If you already own a copy and you don't want to go out and buy more of the same one, Abyss Proxy Shop got you hooked up. They have foils. They have all sorts of alternate arts. They are coming out with new cards pretty much every time the set comes out. Like, I know Ancient Red Dragon is a card people really want to play right now. Meat Hook Massacre is another card that people really want to play right now. And they're just really expensive to own multiple copies. So abyssproxyshop.com is a great place to look it up. And if you want to do your own custom art, if you want to bling out your own deck, they're totally open to that. Foil, not foil, all that good stuff there.
Yep.
So
also super cool people. I've talked to them about getting a whole deck made.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Yeah, they're great. Great customer service, just all around a great company, and we're really glad to support them. So we're moving on, and this is the last one that we could have any overlap in. And I'm going to bury the lead a little bit and say that you have talked about this card already today.
Maybe.
So
maybe. Do you want to do this one at the same time? Do you want to reveal this one at the same time?
Is it the same? Are you going to talk about the same one as me? Do you think?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have mine set. I've had mine set.
I know. I think I know. Okay. I'm gonna go first, and I'm gonna say no. I think that we're gonna have two different cards.
Okay.
So mine is a legendary creature who's a dragon.
Oh, we were gonna have the same card. We were gonna have the same card.
Damn it! All right, here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Niv Brewed.
Yeah, so good. So 3 color, 3 blue, 3 red. That's tough. That is a tough one. But like we talked about, previous 2 cards, the 2 ramps you have played perfect into that. Yep. It's a 5/5 legendary creature, dragon, wizard Harry or wizard redacted bit, and it's around $3. So why don't you read the flavor text here, or I'm sorry, the actual ability. There's no flavor text.
Yeah. I believe there actually is on one of them.
On the old one, right? On the first print?
Yeah. It's like E = MC, whatever.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So he's a legendary creature, dragon wizard, Harry. This spell can't be countered, which is a big thing, because it is 6 blue, red. Yeah. That is very hard. So it's flying, also really good. Whenever you draw a card, Niv Mizzet Perun deals 1 damage to any target, and that is any target. So that's really good. You can start picking off tokens. You can start picking off people. Whatever like damage that needs to be dealt with can be dealt.
Problematic planeswalkers, anything, right?
100%. And then whenever a player, and that's any player, casts an instant sorcery, you then draw a card and then make a ping.
Great engine, great recursion here. If I think this is I think this card really shines in like the spell slinger kind of what do they call it, copy match or whatever, right? Where you're playing you're also playing someone who also is playing a spell slinger deck. This is going to stop them like almost dead in their tracks, right?
Yeah, I've also heard it does copy storm.
Oh, sure, yes.
It stops your storm, basically.
Yeah. Exactly. So really strong card. I assume if you've chosen this one, then you've seen this played out before.
So I actually I have a full Niv Mizzet Perun deck.
Oh, hell yeah. So so I don't need to explain to you the power of this card.
Yeah, so Curiosity is actually in the deck.
Oh, that's okay. I was like, I saw that in here and I was like, I guess that's like cute with Kalamax, but I didn't even think that you could just slap it on him too.
Yeah, so it is literally a win con for Niv Mizzet. It is a love letter to my other decks.
Aha. I assume your other deck has Curiosity and Ophidian Eyes and all the other ones in it.
Tandem Lookout and Transmute to find them.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. It is literally a combo deck. That's all it does. So ironically, I took 5 foil pieces out of Niv Mizzet and built this deck.
Oh, interesting.
So I traded 5 foil pieces in to make this deck.
Oh, okay. Nice. He's really strong. Like I think we've talked a lot. You haven't been playing that long, but like there's a lot of cards like Craterhoof Behemoth, Shieldred, Whispering One, and these sort of things that used to be these really like boogeymen, right? Of how do you respond? How do you even play, right? And
Yeah,
I think those ones are starting to show their age a little bit, right? It's particularly like Shieldred. I just don't think it's as strong as it used to be. But I think Nib Mizzet is definitely one of those cards where as soon as it's played, everyone's like, "Whoa!" Like what are we gonna do here, right? Especially if you get
yeah.
it
You
down
kind of
later in
have
the
to
game.
also be. You have to be around for a minute to know about him.
Exactly, right? And I think it's like it's one of the things too where it's just like if you've already burned a removal or like counters, obviously it won't work. But if you've already burned all that stuff on Kalamax, this is just like a great like backup commander, right? Like it can go off. It can really like put a lot of people in tracks and really control the board. So blowout. I think this is the lowest price I've seen on it. So if you're thinking about buying one, this is probably a great time to do so.
Yeah,
For that $3 pick. So we got one more, and so are you ready to rush it?
yeah,
Okay, we have one. So we don't have a 7 drop, but we do have one 8 drop in here. All right, are you ready?
yep,
3, 2, 1.
Azuri's
Azuri's
predation.
Predation. 5 colors, triple green for a sorcery for 79 cents. Boom. Ha! You
Yeah,
got the
you
last
can't beat that.
voice.
You can't beat that. I actually wanted this flavor text. Joke on you.
Oh, damn it. I fell right into your trap.
But yeah, so the text on it says for each creature your opponent controls, create a 4/4 green Phyrexian beast token. Each of those tokens fights a different one of those creatures.
All right, and we do have so this one can be kind of tricky. Oh, and then also for the bottle capping. Oh, hey, buddy. For the bottle capping, we don't do the voices just because it gets too complex. So this will be the last one for the day. We have Sarash, Keeper of the Cowl, whoever that is, and he is coded here as an old timey gangster, like a James Cagney of sorts.
Okay, like yeah, see,
Yeah. All right.
yeah.
See.
For those who don't submit, they will be consumed. See,
Nice. So, this card, I wish it was instant speed, right? But what are you gonna
yeah.
do? I think that's probably too strong, especially in this deck. So what's been your obviously we taught you made mention this before with the triple green and everything. What's been your what has been like a story with you with this one if you have one?
So this card gets nuts when you copy it with Thousand Year Storm
Yeah.
and Dualcaster Mage.
Oh yes, right.
So there is other ways to copy it. So like this card still gets nasty.
Yeah, it's really strong.
I think the most I've copied it was 3 times.
Whoa, what?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yep.
That's
The
amazing.
original in 2 copies. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, God, what a blowout.
Because nothing survives. Nothing will
No,
survive.
no, and like you're just gonna bury people in value with that if you can get that going that quickly.
Yeah.
4/4s, the four. I think if this card costs as much and there are even though it's stupid, if it was only 3/3s, I don't think it would be as good, right? I think it's so strong with those 4/4s because that eats zombies. Like this is like your token. If you're playing another deck that really relies on tokens, unless they're like maybe elves or something like that, this is gonna eat all of them, right? This eats
Yeah.
goblins for breakfast. This eats
It
zombies
eats
for
most
breakfast.
things, to be honest.
Absolutely. Like I mean, if you're in the like, even if you're in the Kalamax copy matchup, and they haven't been buffed yet, this is gonna blast them as well. So just a
Or
really
yeah, even because like damage still translates. Even if hypothetically speaking, like you don't kill somebody, it's gonna make them not block.
yeah, absolutely. So great pick here. Great way to end the top end of it. And then that's gonna end it for the actual deck tuck. And now we're gonna get into the cuts and adds. So just as a reminder, the way this is gonna work is we are cutting 3 cards in no order, but one of them has to have the added card has to have a greater CMC, the same CMC, and then finally the last one has to have a lower CMC. So this is your deck, and we're not, like I said, we're not matching or anything here, so we don't really need to worry about that part. So why don't you take it off? What is your first? What is your first pick to cut and add?
Alrighty. So realistically, I could probably cut Dockside Extortionist.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
It is a very expensive card. I haven't seen it make too many treasures.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? Like I've seen it make, for me personally, like 10 or 15 at the most. I've seen other people have ridiculous turns with him.
Yeah.
Not
100. Me.
Yeah, 100%. So like Dockside Extortionist could probably leave, and I'd probably go for a Eternal Witness.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Just straight down the middle, just to get some recursion, right?
Yeah. I will increase my mana cost for recursion.
Nice. Yeah, because I was looking through, and you only really have like kind of regrowth, right? I think is your main other one.
I don't run many counters. I don't run many removal, and I don't run many like recursion. I'm trying to be the threat as fast as possible, usually in most of my decks.
Yeah, the glass cannon, get it out there and go. And like I said, I think like you have some pretty big cards that are really important. Like we talked about Comet Storm. Like if Comet Storm gets countered at the wrong time, I guess like is there with Eternal Witness? You would only be playing it to bring back like one of those kind of pieces, right? Like something that you really
probably,
need to get into the end game.
Something I need to recur to try to win. Yeah.
And it just got reprinted, so it's down to about $1.50, which is this card. There's always these cards that like I feel like always go wildly in price, right? Like one week this card will be $5, then it'll get reprinted in some
15.
Yeah, right. And then like another week after that, it gets reprinted in some set that gets bought out. And
well, that's
then
like the Great Henge is like $75 right now.
Oh God, I know.
I have two of those.
You do?
Yeah, I pulled one and then I bought one for like $40.
Is that not good enough to be in this deck? Probably not, right?
So it could potentially be. I try not to run the same things in all of my decks. Because, like, obviously, like, every blue deck would have Ristic Study and every green deck would have, like, the Great Henge. I try to mix up my stuff.
Yeah. Well, and especially now, like, you're already, this is, like, I know this is how Commander's supposed to be, but, like, when you're building a deck right now, you're already short, 5 slots just because Soul Ring, Arcane Signets. If you're in green, you have to run like Nature's Lore or whatever, or 3 visits. Like the ramp package now is so ubiquitous. You kind of have to have.
And in this, you want to try to lean towards instant speed ramp.
Yes, exactly.
Like crop rotation, because you don't pay the sacrifice. Ooh, excuse me. You don't pay the additional cost, and then you get to search for 2 lands.
Yep, exactly. So I agree with that. I'm here with that too. And speaking of which, one card I'm gonna cut. So I kind of cheated a little bit on this first one. So this is for a less for a more, right? So I'm cutting a 2-drop card. I'm technically cutting a 2-drop for another 2-drop, but I feel like you're gonna be paying the extra cost on this more often than not. So I'm actually gonna cut Explore. So Explore is a colorless and a green. You may play an additional land this turn and then draw a card. So I think there's nothing wrong with Explore. I think it's fine. I think Growth Spiral is the better version of that because it's an instant, even though it's a little bit more blue on the green side. Yep. But there's a card that's fresh off the presses, which I think is now going to be a big card in Kalamax decks. And that card is called Joint Exploration. So a colorless and blue for
I don't know it.
Yeah, it's fresh off from Dominaria United or whatever it's called. It's 20 cents. It's an uncommon. So a colorless and a blue for an instant. And it's scry 2, then draw a card. Right? So that's kind of parity there. But it's got kicker of a green. So if the spell was kicked, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. So for me, I kind of feel this is like Explore Plus, right? So granted, you have to play 2 more colors into it and it costs 1 more, but I love the idea of being able to scry 2 and then draw a card as well. And with that 1 extra mana, it's you're trading in like mana efficiency for the instant part into it. And I really feel that's like really critical in this deck. So what do you think about that? Is that something
I like something
is this something you'd entertain? Okay.
Oh yeah, I 100% do. I think I had an Explore. I think that's more of the reason why.
Oh yeah.
Because
don't get me wrong.
I'm a fan of playing basically like what you have and then like buying as you go.
Absolutely,
My
right.
whole thing is like trying to make the deck playable, and then like everything else is kind of gravy.
Yeah, and then like add more in, win more cards, whatever, right? Just first have like the baseline for it. So that was my first cut, explore for joint exploration. What is your second cut for the deck?
Yeah, absolutely. 2 seconds. I need to go last now. Yeah. So another one would probably be Azuri's Predation, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay.
So I'd probably try to cut it. I don't know what I would cut it with. Maybe. Ooh, what is? I forget the name of the card. What's the Archaeogenesis or whatever?
Oh,
The fog?
Arachnogenesis. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I actually might cut it with that.
Oh, okay, okay. And for those playing the home game, Arachnogenesis still hasn't been reprinted, stupidly enough. So it's 2 colorless and a green for an instant spell. Put X 1/2 green spider creature tokens with reach onto the battlefield, where X is the number of creatures attacking you. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn by non-spider creatures. So
Yeah.
are you just looking for something that's a little less mana intensive and also the instant part of it?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I think that's a really strong card. I don't know why this hasn't been reprinted. Is it because
Also,
it's too?
you would copy that with Kalamax, by the way.
Yes, exactly. Right. Like that's and like again, it's less. I think it's really easy to build Kalamax into kind of like what I call a win more deck, right? You just shovel in every single copy effect and then you leave a lot of things on the table, right? So I like this better because it's efficient. It can save your bacon. And then also, even though an army of 1/2 spider creature tokens that are attacking you isn't as scary as a bunch of 4/4s, getting double that amount is really just going to gum up the board and let you do your Kalamax things as much as you
Spider
can. Right?
tokens with reach.
Yes. So yeah, no, I think it's a great card. Just wish it wasn't $30.
Yeah, definitely 100%. Not a budget.
No, which is so like, how has this not been printed in a secret lair? Like this,
or a commander deck? Like,
I don't get it. Right? Like, is it just because it's too strong, or
it's not even that strong though?
Right? Like
unless you're doing Kalamax stuff, it's pretty fair.
Yeah, right. Like a one-time use. Like unless I guess the only argument is like,
well, like I think Constant Mist is a little more atrocious than that.
Oh, Constant Mist is a horrible card. No, in a way of like just slowing the game down. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah. I'd rather get Arachnogenesis than Constant Mist.
Yeah, 100%. God,
I think Constant Mist is cheaper.
Yeah, by a huge margin, $7.
Yeah.
But you can. So I'm a big fan of the gold bordered cards because A, I think they look cool, and B, they're cheaper. So you can get a gold bordered version of this for $5.83, which is nothing to blow your nose at. So, Arachnogenesis, great pick. I'm gonna go for see. I think I need to change mine. I think I'm gonna need to change mine at some point here, but I'm gonna go with the one that I think.
Also, I'll shout out to my gold border Hall of Gemstones.
Oh, sick!
Yeah, I
That's
have
awesome.
a gold border Hall of Gemstone in my Omnath Locus of Mana deck.
So, all right, I think I'm gonna go this way. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I think this will work. Yeah, okay. So for my even across, nope, that's not even gonna work. I think that costs too much. All right, let's do it like this. I am gonna cut. I'm only gonna cut one ramp card, and then I know what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I'm gonna cut Sky Shroud Claim. Just because I think you have better ramp in here already. And I am starting to, in my personal experience, I'm starting to see that Sky Shroud Claim is starting to get a little slow. So 3 colorless and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 forest cards. Put them on the battlefield and shuffle your library. Bless you.
Oh, excuse me.
I think with your, like you said, with your crop rotations, with your growth spirals, with all that stuff, I think that you're gonna have enough lower end CMC cards to really kind of get in the red zone there. So, one card that I thought was really interesting is this card called Gravitiac Punch. So 3 colorless and a red for sorcery. It's about 10 cents out of Guilds of Ravnica. So target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target player. And then it also has Jumpstart, which means you can cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a card in addition to paying its other costs, then exile this card. So one of the experience, and I have a Kalamax deck as well, and sometimes you just don't, like, you have a huge Kalamax, right? He's a 12-12 or a 14-14 or whatever, right? He's huge. But like you don't have you just don't have the evasion spells. You already use your crash through effects to try to get through to someone. You have your Comet Storm kind of waiting, and you're just not going to get quite there, right? But I feel like with this one and another card I have, this is going to be like a way that you can kind of quickly end the game for at least one person. And then if you want, you can then jumpstart it and try to knock out somebody else. So I wish it was an instant so you could get some more of that, if you can get some more of it. But if you can copy it or do something along those lines, I think this is a card that has a pretty high ceiling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just some food for thought there. What do you think? What do you think about that? Sky Shroud to Gravitiac Punch.
I think that's actually really good.
Okay,
it's still getting you there.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's effectively a burn spell too, right?
Yeah. And Sky Shroud Claim, like you said, like I could copy it, but like it doesn't get copied that much,
right? Yeah,
so like,
and like
I feel like it could work. Plus, it would take me get me out of the green a little more. I could maybe probably take out a green Mana Source.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So that was my cut for even. So you just went Arachnogenesis. You've done 2 as well, right? We're good. All right, cool.
So I'm now going even as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you're up.
Yep. So I'm gonna go Goblin Electromancer. So
what?
2 slot. Yeah. No.
Really?
Wait, which one? No. Is it Guildmage? That's
okay.
Yeah. Is it Guildmage? It's a hybrid. What's the color combination?
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Is it? Hybrid. Is it? Hybrid. Is it? I don't use the copy spells that much,
right?
Like the abilities of him, and I think I would go into more removal of the board. Now, obviously, this is not a budget ad, but I would probably go Cyclonic Rift.
Oh yeah, sure.
While it be technically 2 mana, you could overload it and then wipe everything. Yep. But you could also single target, copying it, and still get multiple targets.
Right. Yeah, and I think I agree with that 100%. I think the problem with Guildmage is like it has that stupid cause of 2 mana or less, right?
Yep.
And I don't know. I think your instincts are really right here. Obviously Psych Rift is like a total boogeyman of the format. It's terrifying, and yeah, I like that a lot. Just being able to have that option just to dump 2 for 2, right? Yep. Saving your bacon, bouncing your commander if you need to,
possibly more.
Those lines. Possibly more, exactly. No, okay, I'm here for it. So let's go to our last one. Have you done 3? I'm sorry, I forgot to take notes on this. Have you done 3 or 2?
Third.
Okay. You knock it out. What do you got for your third?
Well, that was my third.
Oh, that was your third. Okay, perfect. So I am gonna cut. So I need to cut for something less.
Yes.
So I think 2 cards in here that I like, but maybe. So I think both Haldon, Avid Arcanist at the 3 spots, and potentially Paco at the 5 spot. I think they're both really good. I think those cards are very good in themselves, but I really think that they are better suited as the commander as opposed to the 99 because their abilities are so ubiquitous, and they both work so well together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if you get in again, they have partner with, so you can go dig the other one out. But I was gonna cut another ramp spell, which I think is just too greedy for it. So I I don't know. What do you think about Halden and Paco?
I think Halden and Paco. Paco is the best of support.
Oh, Paco's no, like they are both incredible. They are insanely strong.
I am a little bit hesitant.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
what would you put in their spots?
So I would put more. I think where Kalamax can really shine is doing like a little bit more combat tricks, right?
Yep.
So the two that kind of come to mind are if you'll let me. So if we're cutting both of those for lesser, right? I think you could cut one of them for Berserk if you really wanted to go crazy with that. So Berserk is 1 green, and pretty much you double a creature's power and toughness, and it gains trample until end of turn. I always forget how to spell this. And
is that instant?
It's an instance too, so you can cast only before the combat damage.
You could hypothetically double that.
So target creature gains trample and gets +X+0 until end of turn, where X is its power, right? Yep. So you attack with Kalamax, you double it, and it gets trample, right?
And then you double it again because you can copy it.
Yes, exactly. The only kicker on Berserk is that at the beginning of the next end step, you destroy that creature if it attacks.
Oh.
So it kind of turns Kalamax himself into a big burn spell that's like a one-time use, right? Yeah, and it's kind of expensive. It's $24, $25-ish. Okay. You can get the limited edition beta version for $700 if you're really feeling like pulling out the wallet.
I kind of like that, though. You could also pair that with Fling.
Yes, absolutely.
Because then you can sack Kalamax, copy Fling.
And it gets better because Berserk is kind of like, I think that's a win more card. There's one card in here that I think, and also if you think about it, what is it at the beginning of the next end step? So Berserk for 1, double twice, knock out one person with commander damage, gravitate punch, knock out someone else with commander damage, or knock someone else out with like 30 points or whatever it boils down to, right? And then the cherry on top is this card that I think is a borderline staple because it's kind of like Berserk, but you have to pay 1 more for it, and you lose out on the trample. But Unleash Fury is a colorless and a red for an instant spell that just simply says double the power of target creature until end of turn. It's 27 cents. So
that's pretty good, yeah.
For 3 mana, you're quadrupling, like it stacks so fast, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that, like, so if you get the perfect hand of Unleash Fury, Berserk, and the Galvanic Punch, you're easily going to knock out 2 people, right? And then 1 person's left over, and it's all for a very low amount of mana. So
yeah, like, and pretty cool to watch.
Right, yeah, and it's such a strong combination with Kalamax. So I didn't want to take away from the burn too much, right? Like I know that's like a cool part of the deck. What do you think about doing like a little bit more on the combat trick sides for Kalamax?
Yeah, I kind of like that. I could see that. It would still be in the copy, you know what I mean? It's still more of the Kalamax vein, you know what I mean? You're still doing Kalamax things.
Yeah, you're still playing the game the way Kalamax wants to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's how I have my Kalamax deck built, and those, especially Unleash Fury for me, for the price, and for everything it does, I think you really kind of get a lot of juice out of it. But and speaking of juice, I've wrung you dry. We have come to the end of the episode. Thanks everyone for sticking around. We really appreciate you watching us and putting up with technical difficulties, and for listening, for those who are listening to the podcast. You can reach us pretty much anywhere, cmdtower.com, at cmdtower, all the stores and everything. You can reach me personally at BigTuck Tweeting on Twitter. You can reach my fellow hosts at Mr. Combo number 5, all spelled out except for the 5, also on Twitter. Where can we find you on the Twitters and the tweets and the Twitches and everywhere else? One more time for the home group, and then we'll go into another little breakdown, and we'll let you go.
Yeah, and we are at TryingCasuallyEDH pretty much everywhere. We try to give you that local game store feel that you come to know and love. I will also say that we are sponsored by Foxy's Proxies right now. Basically, also a proxy sponsor. Also other really good people.
Awesome. So if you're trying to make a bidding war, or perhaps just trying to get a couple different looks at these different playtest
Yep.
cards, now you got some options. So we're talking Kalamax Burn version 3. Do you How do you feel about looking at the deck from this perspective of the mana values, kind of putting
Yep.
a new idea into it? Was it hard for you to come up with the cuts and adds? Like, where do you see this deck? Like landing on now that we've kind of taken a little bit more of an objective look to it?
Yeah. So I've actually never looked at a deck like this. This was very very different for me. It was very cool. It maybe changes the way you deck build, kind of like you
Sure,
see
yeah.
where your mana is actually, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to like, oh, this card looks cool, or oh, this card looks cool.
Sure, yeah. So do you think, like, I don't know, like, do you feel like, knowing what we know now, do you feel like you have too much in the top end, or do you feel like do you think that you're going to go through and rework the mana? Do you think you're going to go through and maybe like try to make it a little faster, or are you just going to add in a couple cards and let it keep running the way it is?
So I probably need about this on all my decks. I need to run more removal, just straight up. And like
Yeah,
you
it
looking at the
helps.
deck, you could see it. You know
Yeah,
that it probably could use it. And if you take a look at any other my decks, they all could use more removal. But I'm just
yeah.
like worried about those big fancy spells.
It's hard, right? And like I I think that's something that is, I personally feel like Commander is just baseline Commander, not even CDH, is starting to get like way faster, right? Like the fact that you can build a mana base and with like artifact ramp that are all 1s and 2 drops now, like for less than $10, maybe less than 5. I don't know how much
Yeah,
Mindstone costs.
yeah. Well, like
Um,
Soul Ring when I first started was like $10, and now it's
yeah.
like cents.
Well, and like I think the other thing too is like I think the biggest issue, or not the issue, I think the card that's like most indicative of this is Arcane Signet, right?
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
just 2 mana,
Crazy expensive for a while.
right? And like it's so good, and I believe people have gone on record and said like we wish, like I think Gavin Voorhees or whatever his name is, Voorhees. I guess this is coming out in October, so there you go. It's a spooky podcast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, they like I think he's gone on record and been like, we never should have printed Arcane Signet. Like it's just a flat out mistake, right? And
It is
to me,
very good.
it's like that's fine. Like then admit it and stop printing it in every single Commander product that comes out. Right?
Well, see,
Like,
I think that's where I think that's where they kind of do the good thing, because like yes, it may
oh,
have been a mistake, so let's get everybody able to have this mistake.
right. And it's not near as backbreaking as like Smothering Tithe or anything like that out of
Yeah,
the world,
yeah.
right? So,
Oh, and then
yeah,
and
I
then
mean,
one more shout out, by the way.
yeah,
Um,
please.
so check this out. This beautiful gold on carbon fiber Omnath Locus of Rage.
Ooh,
This
very
was
sick.
handcrafted by our sponsor.
No way, really?
Yeah, 100%. You can get these on their website.
And it's also, is it the metal card too?
No, it is actually carbon fiber.
Oh, dude. Oh, yeah. Because it's built for speed, right?
Well, maybe, but I mean, I don't know. So jokingly, my buddy called it a race card.
Oh, yes. That's
he's
awesome.
like you're rocking race cards now.
That's sweet. No, those look really good. I know you had. You have a Kalamax of that too? Do you not?
No,
Or
not
no?
yet.
Not yet.
They
Okay.
have been ordered though. It just
Oh, okay.
wasn't.
Gotcha. Nice. Well, anyways, thank you so much for hosting on Twitch. Thank you for putting up with all of our technical difficulties. And thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back with more content starting next week. So have a good Saturday is when this comes out. And for everyone who watched us, thanks for watching. Cue that outro music.